Disrespect. It's subtle, corrosive, and often so quiet you don't even notice it at first. But it's there, in the way someone talks over you, dismisses your ideas, or treats you like an afterthought. And here's the part no one likes to admit. Disrespect doesn't thrive because others are inherently cruel. It thrives because we allow it. Have you ever walked away from a conversation replaying their words, wondering why you didn't say anything? Or endured behavior you knew deep down wasn't okay, just to avoid confrontation? I've been there. It's frustrating, humiliating, and it chips away at your confidence one moment at a time. But here's the wake-up call. How others treat you is a mirror of how you treat yourself. The longer you allow disrespect to take root, the harder it becomes to reclaim your sense of worth. Today, we're going to change that. Drawing from the timeless wisdom of Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus, I'm going to share 8 unapologetically honest strategies to handle disrespect. No sugarcoating, no feel-good platitudes, just actionable steps to help you reclaim your respect and live in alignment with your values. By the end of this, you'll not only understand why disrespect happens, but also have the tools to rise above it, stronger, calmer, and entirely untouchable. So, are you ready to stop letting people walk all over you and reclaim the respect you deserve? Let's begin. Set clear boundaries. Disrespect thrives where boundaries are weak. People will treat you as poorly as you let them. This is an uncomfortable truth, but an empowering one. Setting boundaries isn't just about telling someone what not to do. It's about defining what you will and won't tolerate, and most importantly, enforcing those limits with action. Here's a hard-learned lesson. Politeness without firmness is an invitation for disrespect. I used to think staying quiet and being the bigger person would somehow earn respect. Spoiler alert, it didn't. It wasn't until I started setting boundaries with unapologetic clarity that things began to change. Imagine a colleague constantly interrupting you in meetings. The easy thing is to stay silent and stew in frustration, but the solution lies in speaking up, calmly but firmly. For example, "I'd like to finish my point before we move on. Please hold your thoughts until I'm done." Simple, direct, and incredibly effective. Yes, it might feel awkward or confrontational at first. But remember, the discomfort of enforcing boundaries is far less damaging than the prolonged erosion of your self-respect. The key is consistency. Boundaries lose their power when they're enforced sporadically. If someone continues to disrespect your limits, make it clear there will be consequences, and follow through. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That power begins with standing firm on your boundaries. Boundaries aren't about controlling others, they're about controlling the space around you. Define what's acceptable and protect it like your peace depends on it, because it does. Don't engage in power struggles. Disrespectful people thrive on drama. They bait you with jabs, passive-aggressive comments, or outright insults, hoping to provoke a reaction. Their goal? To drag you into their chaos and shift the focus from their poor behavior to your emotional response. Don't take the bait. One of the most powerful tools you have is your ability to stay calm and composed. When someone disrespects you, your first instinct might be to defend yourself, argue, or lash out. But here's the hard truth. Reacting emotionally gives them exactly what they want: control. Instead, adopt the Stoic principle of mastering your reactions. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." By refusing to engage in petty conflicts, you deprive the other person of the satisfaction they seek. For example, if someone hurls a condescending remark your way, pause, let it hang in the air. A calm, composed response like, "That's an interesting perspective," or simply walking away, is far more disarming than meeting fire with fire. It shows you're unshaken, and nothing frustrates a disrespectful person more than their inability to control your emotions. This doesn't mean you allow disrespect to go unchecked. It means you address it on your terms, not theirs. By disengaging from power struggles, you shift the dynamic in your favor. They're left grappling with their own toxic energy while you walk away with your dignity intact. Remember, composure isn't weakness, it's a statement of strength. You're telling the world, "I refuse to let someone else's negativity define my actions." That's the ultimate power move. 3. Limit your exposure. Some people are toxic by nature. No matter how much you set boundaries or try to reason with them, they'll continue to disrespect you. Why? Because disrespect is their default setting. Here's where you need to ask yourself a tough but necessary question. Why am I allowing them this much access to my life? You don't have to cut ties completely with everyone who disrespects you. Sometimes that's not possible. But you can take control over how much time and energy you invest in them. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been." That begins with limiting their influence over your life. For example, if it's a disrespectful colleague, minimize interactions to what's absolutely necessary. Keep conversations strictly professional and avoid sharing personal details they might weaponize later. If it's a friend who constantly belittles you, start saying no to plans that leave you drained or anxious. The same applies to family members. While cutting ties with family is an extreme step, you can still set boundaries to protect your mental space. You don't owe anyone unlimited access to your energy, especially if they repeatedly disrespect you. By reducing their presence in your life, you're reclaiming valuable space for things and people that uplift you. It's not avoidance, it's self-respect. You're saying, "My energy is too precious to waste on those who refuse to treat me with dignity." This quiet withdrawal doesn't require a dramatic announcement. Just start taking small steps to create emotional and physical distance. You'll be amazed at how much lighter and freer you feel when you stop giving toxic people the attention they crave. Respond with silence. Silence is one of the most underrated yet powerful tools in dealing with disrespect. When someone speaks to you with condescension, lashes out, or makes an offhand rude remark, your immediate instinct might be to fire back. But here's the thing. Most disrespectful people thrive on your reaction. They want to provoke you, to pull you into a verbal duel where they can keep the upper hand. This is where silence becomes your greatest ally. Instead of reacting emotionally or engaging in an argument, pause. Let their words hang in the air. The space you create with your silence does two things. First, it strips them of the satisfaction they get from seeing you react. Second, it forces them to sit with their own disrespect, often making it more uncomfortable for them than it is for you. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus advised, "It is not events that disturb people, it is their judgments concerning them." By staying silent, you're refusing to give their actions or words the weight they crave. Silence also gives you something precious: time. Time to compose yourself, to assess the situation, and to decide your next step from a place of control rather than anger. This doesn't mean ignoring the disrespect entirely. It means responding on your terms, not theirs. For instance, if a colleague makes a snide remark in a meeting, don't rush to defend yourself or snap back. Instead, let the comment pass and maintain your composure. Later, you can address the issue in a calm, private conversation. Silence, in this case, is not submission. It's strategy. Remember, you're not obligated to meet someone's aggression with your own. Your silence is a message. I won't stoop to your level, and your words don't control my emotions. It's an act of strength, not weakness. 5. Limit your exposure. Sometimes the most effective way to deal with disrespect is to minimize your interactions with the person causing it. Let's face it, some people thrive on negativity. They feed off of belittling others, and no amount of calm responses or boundary setting will change their behavior. In these cases, it's essential to protect your energy by simply limiting how much access they have to you. This doesn't mean you have to make dramatic exits or grand statements about cutting them off. It's about subtle shifts. If it's a colleague, keep conversations strictly professional and only engage when absolutely necessary. If it's a friend or even a family member, politely excuse yourself from their company when their disrespectful behavior starts to surface. Think of your energy as a bank account. Every interaction costs something: time, attention, mental space. When you give these things to people who devalue or disrespect you, you're making withdrawals without any return. Over time, that bank account gets depleted. Limiting exposure to toxic individuals is your way of preserving those resources for people and activities that replenish you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If you constantly expose yourself to negativity, it begins to taint your outlook, your confidence, and even your well-being. But by reducing contact with disrespectful people, you create space for positivity to take root. Of course, there are situations where complete avoidance isn't possible. Maybe it's your boss, your in-laws, or someone else you can't completely cut ties with. In these cases, think of your interactions as transactions. Keep them brief, keep them purposeful, and don't engage more than necessary. Ultimately, limiting your exposure isn't about running away from conflict. It's about reclaiming your power. It's about choosing to surround yourself with people and environments that respect and uplift you. 5. Stop taking disrespect personally. Disrespect often feels like a personal attack, a direct hit to our sense of self-worth. But here's the truth. Most disrespectful behavior isn't about you at all. It's a reflection of the other person's struggles, insecurities, or flaws. The moment you stop internalizing their actions, you regain a powerful sense of control over your emotions. I've been there, overthinking someone's dismissive tone or rude comment, believing it somehow reflected my own shortcomings. But when I shifted my perspective, I realized their behavior wasn't about me. It was about them. Their inability to act with respect had everything to do with their own inner chaos and nothing to do with my worth. The Stoics teach us a profound lesson here. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This simple truth changes everything. When you choose not to take disrespect personally, you free yourself from the emotional grip of others. You stop reacting impulsively and start responding with clarity. Instead of dwelling on their words or actions, ask yourself, what does their behavior say about them? By detaching from their negativity, you'll find that their insults lose their sting. It's not that you're ignoring it, it's that you're refusing to let their issues define your emotions. The next time someone disrespects you, try this mental shift. Picture their actions as a reflection of their inner turmoil, not your value. Remind yourself, their disrespect is their burden, not mine to carry. With this mindset, you can rise above their attempts to drag you down, maintaining your composure and peace. Point 6. Walk away when necessary. Sometimes the most dignified and powerful response to disrespect is to simply walk away. It's not about admitting defeat, it's about choosing yourself. Remaining in a toxic environment where you're consistently disrespected doesn't just drain your energy, it slowly chips away at your confidence and self-worth. Walking away is a statement not just to others, but to yourself. I deserve better. The Stoics believed that wisdom lies in recognizing what is within your control and what is not. Marcus Aurelius put it simply, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Disrespect often thrives on your engagement, and by removing yourself from the situation, you revoke its power entirely. Walking away doesn't always mean making dramatic exits or cutting ties immediately. Sometimes it's a quiet, calculated decision to distance yourself emotionally or physically. It might mean stepping out of a heated conversation or choosing not to invest further in a relationship that continuously disrespects your boundaries. I remember a moment when I stayed too long in a friendship that had become toxic. Their dismissive remarks and constant criticism wore me down, but I convinced myself that loyalty meant staying. When I finally walked away, it felt like freedom. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary. It allowed me to reclaim my energy and invest it in healthier relationships. Walking away is not weakness, it's strength. It's understanding that your peace is more valuable than proving a point or enduring disrespect. When you walk away, you're not abandoning the situation, you're prioritizing your well-being. If someone refuses to respect you, despite your efforts to set boundaries or communicate clearly, let them deal with their own shortcomings. You're not obligated to stay where you're undervalued. Remember, respect starts with you, and walking away can be the ultimate form of self-respect. Point 7. Surround yourself with supportive people. Dealing with disrespect becomes much harder when you feel isolated, as though you're fighting an uphill battle alone. That's why building a circle of supportive people is not just a luxury, it's a necessity. When you're surrounded by individuals who genuinely value, uplift, and encourage you, it becomes much easier to recognize and reject disrespect from others. Think about this. The company you keep often mirrors how you see yourself. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Similarly, the people you spend time with shape your emotional resilience and self-esteem. A strong, supportive network acts as a shield, reminding you of your worth even when others try to diminish it. I've experienced firsthand the transformative power of having the right people in my corner. During one particularly challenging time when I felt disrespected in a professional setting, it was my closest friends and mentors who reminded me that my value wasn't defined by someone else's narrow perception. Their words gave me the strength to stand up for myself and move on from the toxic situation. Surrounding yourself with supportive people doesn't happen overnight. It requires intention. Seek out those who encourage you to be your best self, who challenge you with kindness, and who celebrate your successes without envy. These are the people who will listen when you need to vent, offer guidance when you feel lost, and cheer you on when you reclaim your power. At the same time, be mindful of those who undermine your confidence, even subtly. They may not outright disrespect you, but their negativity can chip away at your self-esteem, making it harder to stand strong when confronted by overt disrespect elsewhere. Remember, you're not obligated to maintain relationships that drain you. Prioritize connections that nurture your growth and resilience. When you do, you'll not only find it easier to handle disrespect, but you'll also reinforce the message to yourself: I deserve respect, kindness, and positivity. The deeper lesson: how you treat yourself sets the standard. If there's one overarching truth about disrespect, it's this: how you treat yourself is how others will treat you. Think of it as a mirror. Your actions and boundaries reflect what you're willing to accept. If you allow others to overstep, diminish, or belittle you, you're silently teaching them that it's okay to do so. The Stoics remind us that respect starts within. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "A man's worth is no greater than his ambitions." In this case, ambition isn't about external success. It's about the pursuit of self-respect. How often do you compromise your standards to avoid conflict or to keep the peace? Each time you do, you chip away at your own sense of self-worth. Building and maintaining self-respect requires consistent effort. It's in the way you set boundaries, enforce them, and protect your peace, even when it feels uncomfortable. When you stand firm in your values, you create an unspoken standard. People learn quickly how far they can go with you. Take a moment to reflect on your daily habits. Do you speak kindly to yourself, or do you allow self-criticism to run unchecked? Do you prioritize your needs, or do you constantly put others first at your expense? The way you treat yourself lays the foundation for how others treat you. Seneca offered a profound insight. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. Wasting time tolerating disrespect is a form of self-neglect. Respecting yourself means recognizing when to step away, when to stand up, and when to walk forward without looking back. Remember, self-respect isn't something you demand from others. It's something you cultivate within. And once it's firmly rooted, it radiates outward, changing the way people respond to you. Conclusion: respect starts from within. Let's not sugarcoat it. Handling disrespect isn't easy. It's uncomfortable, it's confrontational, and sometimes it can feel downright exhausting. But here's the truth: choosing respect, both from yourself and others, is one of the most liberating decisions you'll ever make. When you set boundaries, refuse to engage in toxic games, and surround yourself with uplifting people, you're not just pushing back against disrespect. You're building a life of self-worth and dignity. As Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The strategies we've discussed, drawing lines in the sand, mastering silence, walking away, are not about being combative or aggressive. They're about asserting your right to peace, your right to be treated with dignity, and your right to live free of unnecessary negativity. Remember, respect is not granted, it's taught. It starts with you. When you stop tolerating disrespect, you send a powerful message: I value myself, and I won't settle for less than I deserve. As you step into your day, let this be your challenge. When disrespect arises, and it will, ask yourself, am I choosing peace, strength, and self-respect? Because at the end of the day, how you treat yourself and how you allow others to treat you are the truest measures of your inner power. Let's create a ripple effect. Stand tall, set your boundaries, and inspire others to do the same. If you found value in these insights, share this message with someone who might need it. Together, we can foster a culture of respect, starting from within. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay strong, stay resolute, and never forget, your worth is non-negotiable.